She said, "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I see." I never thought I'd be the kind of person writing about this on Reddit, but here I am, still trying to process everything. My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years. We've lived together for the past year, and I thought we had a solid, trusting relationship. We've shared bills, chores, and basically built a life together, so naturally, I thought we had each other's backs. I've always believed in communication and honesty, and I've expected the same from her. I trusted her, completely. A few nights ago, something happened that shook me. She told me she was going out with a friend I hadn't met yet, someone she said she was catching up with from work. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her judgment. But when I asked her what time she'd be back, she brushed me off, saying she'd let me know. That wasn't unusual in itself, but something in her tone felt off. Later that night, I texted to check in. No response. I called. Voicemail. I waited. Hours passed, and she didn't come home until nearly 2 a.m. When I asked where she'd been, she rolled her eyes and snapped, "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I see." I froze. Part of me wanted to argue, to say that we share a life together, that being partners isn't just about living under the same roof, it's about respecting each other and being honest. But another part of me was just confused, shocked. I'd never heard her speak to me like that. I kept my voice calm, trying to process it, but inside, I felt something breaking. Over the next few days, I started noticing small things that hadn't bothered me before, but now seemed suspicious. She'd get flustered when I walked into the room while she was on her phone. Texts would suddenly disappear from her screen. I'd call and she'd put the phone down or forget to answer. I know it might sound paranoid, but these were patterns. Things that seemed innocent before suddenly felt like red flags. I didn't want to believe any of it. I trusted her. I tried to give her space, to rationalize it. Maybe she was stressed at work. Maybe she just needed some alone time. But the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. Something was off. The next weekend, I tried to bring it up calmly. I said something along the lines of, "Hey, I've noticed you've been distant lately, and I just want to understand what's going on. We're partners, and I feel like we should be honest with each other." She laughed. Not a nervous laugh, but the kind that cuts. "I can't believe you're acting like this. You're not my parent. You're not my boss. Stop trying to control me. I can do what I want." I felt my chest tighten. Hurt, frustration, and confusion all rolled into one. I couldn't believe she was saying this to me, especially after 3 years together. I didn't want control. I wanted honesty, transparency, and respect. Apparently, that was too much. I tried again. I told her it wasn't about controlling her, but about being partners. I explained how her secrecy and dismissive attitude made me feel unimportant, dismissed, powerless. She rolled her eyes and walked away. That was the moment I realized I wasn't being paranoid. Something had changed, and it wasn't me, it was her. A few days later, I started noticing small inconsistencies that I couldn't ignore. She'd leave the apartment saying she was going to a friend's house, but later I'd hear stories from mutual acquaintances that didn't match hers. Her phone would be face down constantly, and whenever I glanced at it, she'd snatch it away. I felt the mix of paranoia and heartbreak, but the gut feeling that something was wrong only grew stronger. Then, last night happened. I came home early from work because I forgot a document. The apartment was empty, but her bag was on the counter. Inside, I noticed something odd, an unfamiliar receipt from a bar across town dated just hours ago. That, combined with the strange behavior over the past few weeks, made my stomach twist. I realized I couldn't ignore it anymore. I'm sitting here now, typing this, feeling a mix of anger, confusion, and betrayal. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I can't just pretend everything is normal. I need answers, and I need honesty. I've decided that I'm going to figure out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I don't know if I'm overreacting. Maybe I am. Maybe this is just a misunderstanding. But I can't shake the feeling that I've been lied to, and that hurts more than anything else. I guess I'm writing this here because I don't know who else to talk to. Friends might be biased, family might be too close to see clearly, but I need some perspective, or maybe just someone to say, yeah, that's not normal. I don't know what I'll find when I confront her again. I don't know if this will end in heartbreak or relief, but I do know one thing. I can't go on pretending that everything is fine. Something is wrong, and I'm determined to find out what it is. So, Reddit, am I crazy for feeling this way? Or does anyone else see this as a red flag too? I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the pieces are adding up, and I'm afraid of what I might discover. I guess this is where it ends for now. I'm going to try to gather more information before I confront her again. If things get worse, or if I find something I can't ignore, I'll update.
Update 1. After the last few weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I see. Those words haunted me. I kept replaying the night she came home late, the way she dismissed me when I tried to talk. I wanted to trust her, but my gut wouldn't let me. Something was off, and I had to find out what. The first thing I did was start paying closer attention to the little things. I began checking receipts she left lying around, not because I wanted to invade her privacy, but because the inconsistencies couldn't be ignored. A coffee shop receipt here, a bar receipt there, none of them matching her stories. A friend she said she was catching up with at work. I looked him up online. Mutual friends didn't know she was meeting them. It wasn't proof yet, but it was enough to make me feel uneasy. I also started noticing patterns in her phone behavior. She'd quickly close apps when I walked by, put it face down on the table, or suddenly insist she had to check something real quick when I tried to casually ask about her day. A text notification would pop up and disappear before I could see it. It felt like every time I tried to get close, there was a wall between us. I tried confronting her gently at first. I said, "Hey, I noticed a few things that don't add up. Can we talk about it?" She laughed, not lightly, but that sharp, dismissive laugh that makes your stomach drop. "You're acting paranoid. I can do what I want. Stop trying to control me," she said. And just like that, the conversation ended. I felt frustrated, angry, and deeply hurt. I wasn't trying to control her. I was trying to communicate, to understand, to maintain the honesty we promised each other. But every time I brought it up, she turned it on me. I started to question myself, wondering if maybe I was overreacting, but every gut feeling screamed otherwise. Friends started noticing changes too. One night, I mentioned to my closest friend that she had come home late again, and her stories didn't match what I'd heard from mutual acquaintances. He paused for a moment, then said, "That doesn't sound right. You should trust your instincts. You've never been the jealous type. Something's up." Hearing that made me feel slightly less crazy, but it didn't make the fear go away. Determined to find the truth, I started keeping track of everything, receipts, photos, and notes. I looked through her social media, not obsessively, but carefully. That's when I saw it. A tagged photo at a bar with someone I didn't recognize, laughing too closely. A comment she left on a friend's post that hinted at plans she never mentioned to me. The pieces were finally starting to form a picture I didn't want to see, but couldn't ignore. One evening, I decided to follow her social media breadcrumbs more closely. I noticed a pattern. Every time she said she was working late or meeting a friend, there were stories, posts, or tagged photos proving she was somewhere else entirely.
It hit me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just small lies or forgetfulness. She had been actively hiding things from me. I confronted her again, this time with specific examples. I showed her a post where she claimed to be working late, but a tagged photo showed her at a concert. Her eyes widened for a second, but then she composed herself. "You're being ridiculous. That's not what it looks like. You're overreacting." She tried to gaslight me into doubting myself. But by this point, I didn't need to doubt. I was angry, yes, but I was also clear. She didn't respect me, she didn't respect our relationship, and she had no intention of being honest. It was heartbreaking. I had invested years into this relationship, and suddenly it felt like it was built on nothing but lies. I started noticing even more. Deleted messages on her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. New friends she never introduced me to. Late-night calls she claimed were work-related, but were never answered when I called back. The more I saw, the more everything confirmed my fears. Then came the undeniable proof. A mutual friend of hers accidentally mentioned seeing her at a place she claimed she hadn't been. Screenshots of flirty texts she accidentally left open on her laptop. Even a photo from a bar where I could see her with someone she had insisted was just a coworker. I sat there staring at it, my chest tight, my hands shaking. I couldn't believe it, but the proof was real. Every suspicion, every gut feeling, it had all been right. I won't lie, I cried that night. Not out of weakness, but out of shock, betrayal, and heartbreak. The person I loved, trusted, and built a life with had been lying to me, sneaking around behind my back. I felt stupid for trusting her. I felt powerless, angry, and devastated all at once. But as the initial wave of emotion passed, I realized something important. I wasn't going to act impulsively. I wasn't going to yell, break things, or beg for an explanation. No, this time I would plan. I would gather everything I needed, not just to confront her, but to make sure she couldn't twist the story, lie, or gaslight me again. I started compiling everything: screenshots, receipts, photos, and notes. I looked through her social media, not obsessively, but carefully. I made a note of witnesses who could corroborate what I had discovered. Each piece added clarity and fueled my resolve. I wasn't just hurt. I was ready to take control of the situation, not to harm her, but to protect myself and make sure she couldn't manipulate me anymore. Tonight, I feel a strange mix of exhaustion, anger, and anticipation. I'm tired of feeling powerless. I'm tired of wondering if I'm overreacting. I'm tired of being dismissed and mocked. I know the next step will be difficult. I know it might involve confrontation, exposure, or even ending the relationship. But I also know I can't go back to ignoring the signs. I've made a decision. I'm going to confront her again with everything laid out clearly. No accusations, no yelling, just facts. And this time, I will have the upper hand. I don't know what her reaction will be. I don't know if she'll apologize, deny everything, or explode. But I do know one thing. I will not be manipulated again. I will not be gaslit. I will not allow her lies to go unchecked. So that's where I am now, sitting with a mix of heartbreak and determination, knowing that the next few days will define the course of our relationship. I've seen the truth, and I can't unsee it, but I'm ready to face it, and ready to finally take control of my own story. Reddit, I needed to share this because I feel like my head is spinning. I know some of you will say dump her, and maybe you're right, but I'm not ready to make that final decision yet. I need to confront her, see how she reacts, and ensure she knows exactly what she's done. After that, well, we'll see. For now, I'm preparing. I'm gathering evidence. I'm ready for the moment where everything comes out in the open. And when it does, I won't be the person who's hurt and confused anymore. I'll be the person who's in control and who knows the truth.
Final update. I spent the last few days preparing. I gathered everything: screenshots, receipts, photos, a detailed timeline, even messages from mutual friends who could confirm what I'd discovered. I wanted to confront her, not out of anger, not to yell or cry, but to ensure the truth was clear, undeniable, and final. I had to know what she would say when faced with evidence she couldn't lie her way out of. I invited her to meet me at a neutral cafe, somewhere public enough to avoid a messy argument, but private enough to speak freely. She arrived, wearing that same confident smile she always used to charm me. I felt a strange mix of anticipation and calm. This was my moment to finally reclaim the respect I deserved. I started by calmly laying out the evidence. I showed her the photos from bars she said she hadn't been to, the receipts from restaurants and coffee shops that contradicted her stories, the screenshots of flirty messages she had tried to hide. I even included notes from mutual friends who had seen her in places she claimed she wasn't. Every piece of proof was presented without accusation, just facts. Her reaction was immediate. At first she froze, blinking rapidly as if trying to understand what she was seeing. Then came denial. "This isn't what it looks like. You're twisting everything." Her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to maintain control. I stayed calm, letting her words wash over me without reacting. I could see the cracks forming. The denial faded quickly into anger. "You're insane! You've gone through my stuff! You don't trust me at all!" she shouted, drawing attention from a nearby table. I ignored the theatrics. I didn't need to yell. I simply said, "I'm not accusing you. I'm showing you what's real. And this, your behavior, is not acceptable." Her anger shifted into panic. Her hands shook, and she stumbled over words, trying to explain away every single piece of evidence. "It was just a trip. I needed space. You're overreacting." But the timeline I had created, the photos, the receipts, they all contradicted her story. She had no way to escape this. Then came tears. Big, dramatic tears, her pleading eyes trying to appeal to the part of me that still loved her. "Please don't do this. I can explain everything. It wasn't like you think." I took a deep breath and held her gaze firmly. I could have softened. I could have listened, but I didn't. I had spent weeks feeling powerless, dismissed, and manipulated. Now I was in control. I calmly said, "I've seen everything. I don't need excuses. What I need is honesty, and it's clear that you can't give that." Her excuses fell flat. There was no room left for manipulation or gaslighting. She realized it too. The confidence she had relied on to charm her way out of situations was gone. Her shame was visible for the first time, a stark contrast to the calm, composed person I had become over the last few days. I didn't involve friends or family at this moment, but I made it clear that I had witnesses who could confirm the truth if needed. The implicit knowledge of accountability made her shiver. I could see the realization settle in. Her lies, her manipulations, her disregard for our relationship were finally exposed, and no amount of charm could cover them up. I told her directly, "We are done. I won't tolerate being disrespected, lied to, or manipulated. I've tried to communicate, I've tried to trust, and I've been patient. This is the boundary. This is the end." She begged, pleaded, tried to twist the story one last time, but I stayed firm. I collected my composure, stood up, and calmly walked away. For the first time in weeks, I felt relief. I wasn't just walking away from her. I was walking toward myself, toward respect, toward peace. Afterward, I reflected on everything I had learned. I had invested years in someone who didn't value honesty or respect. But through this, I realized the importance of boundaries, self-respect, and trusting my instincts. I learned that love doesn't mean giving up your dignity, and commitment doesn't mean tolerating deceit. Since then, I've been focusing on myself. I've reconnected with friends I had neglected, poured energy into hobbies I had set aside, and slowly started to rebuild my emotional foundation. I've realized that being single, being free, and being respected is worth more than staying in a relationship that erodes your sense of self. And I've even started cautiously dating again. Not to replace her, not to prove anything, but because I know now that I deserve someone who respects me, communicates honestly, and shares mutual trust. And when I meet that person, I will recognize the difference immediately. Looking back, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel clarity. I feel empowerment. I feel the satisfaction of knowing that I didn't allow myself to be manipulated, that I held my ground, and that I acted with integrity. The heartbreak was painful, yes, but the growth, the lessons, and the reclaiming of my self-respect outweigh it all. So here's my final thought, Reddit. Trust your instincts. Set your boundaries, and don't let anyone, no matter how charming, loving, or familiar, convince you that your feelings, your concerns, or your need for honesty are controlling or paranoid. True partnership is about respect, trust, and accountability. If that's missing, it's better to walk away than to lose yourself trying to fix someone who isn't willing to be fixed. I'm walking away stronger than I ever imagined I could be. And that, more than anything, feels like freedom.